Good morning. In an exclusive interview with Mr. Mark Gershburg, co-founder Gemological Science International, and Debbie Azar, co-founder Gemological Science International. GSI has been operating in India for quite some time now. What has been your experience?
Oh, definitely. Our experience till now in India was very positive. We definitely had some issues like all industry, like let's say 2016 and 15 strike, and demonetization definitely hurt everybody within the industry, but it's all everything for the better future, so we have to deal with it accordingly. We just have a little bit more patience and looking ahead, we believe that GSI will be able to capture much larger share of the market than we have today, because we have better people, better technology, better service, and generally we're probably the best.
Very interesting. Debbie, as a co-founder, you look at GSI based in the United States of America. How do you look at a difference in terms of the consumer of diamonds in the US as compared to markets like India or Asia? Where do you think is the major difference, and where do you think it's an opportunity for GSI?
Consumers in the US and abroad are not all that different. I think at the end of the day, they're looking for education and transparency, and really to understand what it is they're purchasing, and to make an informed decision, and obviously to get the most for their money.
You think in markets like India or in maybe Asia, for example, or even for that matter Middle East, now that GSI is also getting into Dubai, how do you look at an opportunity from the consumer perspective for GSI?
So from the consumer perspective, we're doing a lot to educate the consumer. We have a lot of courses that we're offering to help educate consumers, and our reports are very user-friendly, so the consumers can really look at their report and understand what it is they're looking at when it comes to buying a diamond or a piece of jewelry.
Interesting. So now that we are speaking about Middle East, tell us something about GSI in Dubai. What's the plan? How long have you started operating, and how do you look at the market growing there?
We are relatively young in Middle East. We just starting our operations there. It took us a while to establish the office and go through the formalities and etc. But we're very hopeful about the market there. We believe that there is plenty of opportunities not only in Dubai but all over the Gulf area and Middle East. Plus there are tremendous amount of tourists in the area, and we want to attract them too. We want to work with not only with Middle East population, but with population from other areas that come to Dubai and to Gulf as a tourists, as a business people, and etc. So I see there plenty of opportunities for GSI, and hopefully within 1 year we will be much more established than today. And again, we're just starting. We'll start in Dubai, but our goal is to cover all Middle East.
So going further from Dubai, you are operating in economies like Antwerp in Botswana. Is there any newer economy that you are planning to set up an office or a lab other than wherever you're operating already, and what's the plan?
We're looking to open up in the Hong Kong and China area to cater to that market, and possibly expand. Of course, our goal is to continue to expand globally into other markets.
What's been your experience on economies like Botswana and Antwerp, for example?
They're good. It's different markets, different demographics, but we have a strong office, a strong lab in Botswana. In Antwerp also, it's definitely not what it used to be, but we still have some good business over there, so we're happy over there.
So on the consumer education, how do you look at GSI's growth in India? And on the trade education, how do you look at GSI's growth in India and worldwide?
On the trade education, we work with different organizations, trade organizations. We work with the press, like New Jeweler, the New Jeweler magazine, and other ones, in order to get larger exposure within the trade. We're offering different seminars, courses that geared towards the industry, and same time it's address consumers too. We work together with our retail jewelers to educate their consumer base about importance of certification, about general knowledge of the gemstones in diamonds and jewelry, and we're trying to cover different areas of India. We work in Maharashtra, we work in Kerala, we work in Gujarat. We hope to move soon to north of India, and we look for different opportunities with regards to education. It's not only formal education, but it's a lot of kind of general education about gemstones and jewelry.
Interesting. Is there a similar opportunity for educating the trade in matured markets like the US? Is that opportunity still prevailing?
Absolutely. I think with all the new things that are out there now, like synthetics and all different kinds of treatments and new things that are coming out in our industry, there's always an opportunity to educate the trade. And we're continuing, GSI continues to educate the trade. We work with many different organizations within our industry really to stay at the forefront of everything that's going on, whether it's with synthetics or newer forms of treatments to color diamonds or gemstones. So there's definitely always an opportunity to continue to educate not only just the consumer but the trade.
Interesting. It has given a lot of businesses for grading labs. Do you think that it's good for your business, although it's not so good for the industry? How do you look at it?
Actually, it's not necessarily good for our business because it's forced us to acquire a tremendous amount of equipment that's very expensive, extremely complicated. So it looks from outside that labs are benefiting from this problem, but in reality it's as big problem for us as for everybody else. The difference between us and the rest of the industry is that we have knowledge and tools to address the issues and help all industry to deal with the problem, but it's not such a great benefit for the labs. Okay.
How do you look at the markets in US for this?
So it's the same idea. As far as lab grown as a whole, I think there's definitely a market for it. But again, as Mark said, from a laboratory standpoint, it puts a lot more, responsibility on the gem labs like us to actually detect any synthetics that are trying to get passed off or mixed in with natural parcels.
Okay. Grading laboratories have also come up with equipments of their own for melee screening and stuff like that. Do you have any plans in mind to come up with an equipment, and do you have any plans to sell the equipment outright to companies like the way they are doing, or maybe only offer services? Do you have any intentions on those lines of business?
We have no intention to sell equipment. We do work with different manufacturers of equipment within the industry and outside the industry to develop new products for our use. We're offering plenty of different services with gem identification and diamond identification, and we're looking for new tools constantly, but we're not intending to sell anything out. We want to help industry with the services, but not with the products.
I would like to speak a little bit about the recent media coverage that you have got across the United States. 6 million viewers, that's a whopping number. What has been the benefit for GSI after the coverages?
So it was a very unique opportunity, and I think it really gave us an opportunity to reach out to consumers, which is a very difficult thing to do in any market, and really let the consumers know what they need to do, what they need to look for when they're making a diamond purchase, on how they can better educate themselves, or what questions to ask. And also, I think it's a very important message that we should be spreading to consumers, that diamonds really do a lot of good around the world. So overall, I think it was a great opportunity, and I think it was not only good exposure for GSI, but I think for the industry as a whole.
Interesting. So coming on the colored gemstones and pearls, as products. Is GSI strongly looking into those products as well as business, or it's completely focused only on diamond grading?
Our initial focus was on diamonds only. In the United States market, we still will be concentrating mostly on diamonds, but in India and Middle East, we're moving very aggressively into the colored gemstones at this stage. And lately, hopefully, pearls too, but it will be the next stage. Color stones, we already work with few customers and few manufacturers right now, and issuing different reports for different gemstones. Hopefully within the next couple of years we will address pearl issue too.
So with products like spinels also nowadays being called as natural gemstones, how do you look at this business growing, especially for GSI in the European region, because there is so much of business in Germany, for example?
Actually, our focus more on the Asia market. We want to work with Asian markets much more than European markets. For us, European markets at this stage really is not even secondary. The US market definitely is the most important market today, and as a future markets we see India, definitely China and Middle East. European market for us not that interesting.
The recent demonetization and all that, whatever we have seen, the strikes and stuff like that. So do you really think that the business in India will be restored like the way it is, or rather it was in 2015 and early 2016? And when do you think it will be, if it will be, in India?
I think the business not only will restore, I think it will grow. Will it grow in 2017? I'm not sure, but I'm sure that within the next few years it will grow once the industry and general public will get used to the new India. They will get back to their old habits of buying jewelry, because it's part of the Indian culture. You cannot live without jewelry. So it's no demonization or strikes or whatever setbacks we will have. It's not going to change the culture of the Indian public. They need jewelry, period.
Lastly, to sum up the entire thing, you do a lot of work with retailers across the United States. In India, the export market to the US has always been topping the list for ages now, and they are really hoping that the market gets revived once again for exporting to the US. Do you really feel that consumer buying jewelry from retailers in US is seeing the rise, which will in turn increase exports from the Indian companies to the US?
I think so. The U.S. is still the largest market for, retail. And I think it's going to continue to increase. And definitely most of the production is being done in India right now. I think it's going to continue to be done in India. So I think, and the consumers are continuing to buy in the United States also. We had an election year, and I think we're going to have a strong year in the United States. So yeah.
Sir, on the business perspective, how would you rate your business on certification of loose vis-a-vis certification of jewelry?
It's actually more issue of the different markets. Let's say US market, probably loose diamonds is larger share of this market. I'm talking about GSI, okay? Jewelry is pretty big, but loose is much larger. Within Indian market, domestic market, jewelry definitely much larger than loose diamonds. I believe Middle East will be combination of both, because there is room for loose diamonds and for the jewelry. So it's really, there is no proper one mix that address all the situations. Different markets require different kind of services, and we ready for services that exist and for new services. We developing new products and new programs for different markets that still not addressed. Okay.
On the mobile labs, tell us a little bit about your labs, the mobile labs, and are they already running? Which economies they are running? Do you intend to do similar services in newer economies like Middle East and stuff like that?
So we were the first, GSI was the first one to come up with the mobile lab idea, and it's definitely still running. And what it allows us to do is actually bring the lab to our customers. So we can do everything in our customer's office that we could do within a laboratory. And it's proven to be a very successful service, and our customers really like it.
Yeah. How has it been?
India actually it's more important than in other markets partially because of the fragmentation of the market. It requires mobile lab to cover different areas within our sphere of services, and it's for India it actually was much more important than for any other market at this stage. I believe Middle East will be another market that mobile labs will work very well for us.
That says it all. Undoubtedly a market leader. Gemological Science International, exclusive chat with the co-founders. Thank you so much.